¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. It is indeed Monday. Short week today, or this week, I guess. Thank goodness. I am off Thursday and Friday. Thursday, the stream will be pending. Not sure. Not 100% sure yet. That might be on hold. How's it going, Cosmic Seeking? Echo Ruster Dragon, welcome everybody. Today was 7 degrees Celsius and now it's 3 degrees. Sheesh. Currently it is a crisp 52 degrees, more or less. Well, 52 degrees Fahrenheit. Welcome everybody. We do have a few videos, a couple of videos, and some headlines. "46 degrees, sheesh, not too far off. It's probably gonna get about that tonight. Let me see. Oh, it's gonna get a little bit colder. A couple of hours, it'll be about 46. And the lows will be high 30s. About 38 to 39. "21, sheesh. Well, a couple of days ago, it was very cold. just last week it was very cold. We've been waking up with freezing temperatures for like almost 2 weeks now. And by freezing meaning like if there's like a water bowl outside, it'll be frozen. That's what I mean. All right, folks. So stay tuned for Thursday's stream. We'll see what happens with that. Make sure you join the Discord for any announcements on that one. I do this to cheer myself up. Yeah, you're gonna have to send me. Yeah, there's no links. There's no links. You're gonna have to send me that. All right, folks. Let's get some headlines, let's get some headlines going. Let's start with some meme articles, probably. Well, one meme article. All right. Elon Musk decides that he's going to reinstate Trump. Well, his Twitter account, anyways. Well, that's very interesting. I gotta check that out. Elon Musk formally reinstates former President Trump's Twitter account. So, good memes. Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk, on Saturday announced that he would be reinstating former President Trump to the social media platform nearly 2 years after the company suspended him, citing his role in the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. Of course. Of course. Whether or not Trump is going to be very active on the platform is a different story. Alia with the 10 biddies, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Welcome. Whether or not he's going to actually be active on the platform is to be seen. Supposedly, he's just going to stay on Truth Social because that's his social media. So, yeah, we'll see. Musk is becoming a very useful Trump ally. Well, he's always been. He's always been. If you notice the type of actions that he's taken, not only just with like Twitter, but I mean like dude's been showing up. Dude showed up to like a fundraiser on a far right candidate that was going against Liz Cheney, I think. Musk was in that fundraiser event. Oh, so he always has been. The platform CEO announced this decision on Saturday evening after allowing his Twitter followers and others to vote on whether to reinstate the president or not. With nearly 52% of those weighing in favor of Trump's return, the Twitter poll logged more than 15 million votes. People have spoken. Trump will be reinstated. But is it though? Like how many Twitter users are there? How many Twitter users are there? So if we want to take like an estimate, it's about 300 million monthly active users. And this poll was done with 15 million. So no, not the majority at all. Not even close. Not even close. That's like saying he would say the same thing if only 5 people participated and 3 said yes and 2 said no. He did this to deflect from his mass resignations. No, it's not just that. He's just a conservative enabler. That's it. Former tweets from Trump account were viewable after its reinstatement, with the most recent one from January 8th of 2021, when he would post that he's not attending Biden's inauguration. Musk's decision is easily his most anticipated one since he took control of Twitter. It comes 4 days after Trump announced that he would run, which honestly, like, I don't know. Trump said that he would stick to his Truth Social, but now that I'm realizing he's running for office again, he might actually be active on Twitter again. It comes 4 days after Trump announced that he would run for president in 2024. Twitter was central to Trump's political rise, allowing him to broadcast his thoughts, provocations, and insults to millions of fans and critics without the filter of traditional media or anyone else. Around 2011, he began using Twitter to falsely claim that President Obama hadn't been born in the U.S. Yes, birtherism, of course. And later, he used Twitter as president to fire cabinet officials and threaten North Korea. True. He also tweeted or retweeted a variety of false and misleading statements, from Antifa conspiracy theories to false COVID treatments. At other times, he used his account to attack critics, the media, Democrats, and Republicans who said were not sufficiently loyal. Right. Trump had 88.8 million Twitter followers when the company banned him. The move signals a new direction for Twitter, which in recent years has pivoted from an embrace of all-out free speech to take more aggressive action on abuse, harassment, and misinformation and calls for violence. Musk has said that he will loosen Twitter's rules, though he tweeted shortly after the takeover that the platform obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape. Right. There's going to be moderation, and there's going to be terms of service. This is never going to change. People who think that there's going to be like some kind of, a Truth Social, Parler, Gab kind of deal. I mean, unless Elon Musk wants to torpedo Twitter all by himself, which he seems to be doing, not much is going to change. Or not much would have changed, I should say. But that's neither here nor there. Trump's return also comes at a time of heightened expectation that he and other Republicans are set to renew misleading or false claims of election fraud, which Trump routinely tweeted before he lost his account. The decision to welcome Trump back carries risks for Musk, putting him in a position to be blamed for Trump's future behavior and any potential calls to violence. True. 100%. It wasn't immediately clear how often Trump might use his old account. He told Fox News in April that even if Musk succeeded in buying Twitter, he wouldn't go back and would instead stay on his own social media. Right, this is what I was referencing. Earlier Saturday, when Musk's poll was still active, the former president said in a statement, "Vote now with positivity, but don't worry, we aren't going anywhere. Truth Social is special." Yeah. The former president made a virtual appearance Saturday at Republican Jewish Coalition annual leadership meeting in Vegas, where he reiterated his resistance to using Twitter. Quote, "Truth Social has been very, very powerful, and I'll be staying there, but I hear we're getting a big vote to also go back on Twitter. I don't see it because I don't see any reason for it." Trump remains suspended from other major platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Musk, the world's wealthiest person, according to Bloomberg, had forecast the invitation to Trump for Trump to return in May. Excuse me. in May, a month after he offered to buy Twitter when he called the expulsion morally wrong and flat out stupid. Twitter users have fiercely debated Trump's absence. He repeatedly tested limits of Twitter's rules over the years, and in 2018, the company carved out an exception to ensure that world leaders could largely do as they please without getting banned. On the other hand, Trump is the Republican Party chief figure, and his absence from Twitter has meant the service doesn't accurately mirror the reality of U.S. politics. Well, it accurately mirrors the reality of Republican politics. He could have his own bot to bounce Truth Social postings onto Twitter. Yeah, I guess, but according to what he says, his reasoning is that he obviously owns Truth Social, so he's not going to effectively give, more ground to the what would be essentially competition. Musk fell into the second camp. I think permabans just fundamentally undermine trust in Twitter as a town square where everyone can voice their opinion. Soon after his takeover of Twitter in the evening of October 27, Musk tried to assure his followers and advertisers that the decision on Trump would be carefully measured. Right, of course. This was almost all but a foregone conclusion. Twitter will be forming a content moderation council with widely diverse viewpoints. No major content decision or account reinstatements will happen before that council convenes. Twitter, but that's a lie, because if that's the case, then why even have just like the popular vote, right? His little poll. Why would that even be necessary if there's going to be supposedly some type of content moderation council that will make these decisions about account reinstatements? Maple Leaf Dragon coming in hot with a tier 1 sub. ADT, how's it going? Thank you. Welcome, Maple Leaf Dragon. I'm doing all right. Trump has his biped... whew, I am tired today, folks. Bipedal Meatbag, how's it going? Trump has his own cult. Why would he go back to where everyone hates him? That's true. Trump would want to reach a broader readership on Twitter? No. He just needs his base to vote. He just needs his base to fleece and con. That's about it. He just needs to reach his market. That's it. Twitter and most of the tech industry locked Trump's account during the violence of January 6th, saying that he broke their terms of service and posed a threat to public safety. True. In one provocation, Trump tweeted that afternoon that Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution. The U.S. demands the truth. The tweet came just minutes after his supporters had breached the Capitol doors. Twitter interpreted those statements and other violations of civic integrity policy, and it announced Trump's suspension at 7:02 p.m. on January 6th. If the tweets are not removed, the account will remain locked. Future violations of Twitter rules, including our civic integrity or violent threat policy, will result in permanent suspension of Donald Trump's account. The San Francisco-based company announced 2 days later, January 8th, that it was making Trump's suspension permanent. Twitter's co-founder, Jack Dorsey, then the company's CEO, later defended this decision by citing the possibility of offline harm. After a clear warning that we'd take this action, we made a decision with the best information we had based on threats to physical safety both on and off Twitter. At the time, one consideration was that Trump might use social media during his final 2 weeks in office to continue to spark violence, a danger that alarmed even many free speech advocates. Yeah, of course. Twitter and Trump fed off each other for years before the ban. Twitter gave Trump easy access to millions of people and largely free pass to violate its rules, while Trump brought constant attention to a service often overshadowed by larger platforms such as Instagram and YouTube. Twitter, founded in 2006, had its first profitable quarter in 2017 while Trump was president. Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, has left open the possibility of letting Trump back on as soon as January 7th, 2 years after it suspended him. The company said it would look to experts to assess the risk to public safety has receded. Musk does a lot on Twitter, but mostly enjoys trolling. Lately, has been more prolific because his focus is on Twitter. Yeah, but he's not just trolling. He's like enabling these like far right freaks, basically. Yeah. If we determine that there's still a serious risk to public safety, we will extend this restriction for a set period of time and continue to reevaluate until that risk has receded. Nick Clegg, the company's vice president of global affairs, said in a blog post last year. Clegg's statement came after the Oversight Board, a quasi-independent body funded by Meta, criticized the idea of an open-ended suspension. Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of Google subsidiary YouTube, has said the video site would lift its suspension on Trump when we determine that the risk of violence has decreased. True. Musk had to bring in his engineers from Tesla because everyone who quit. Yeah, not only just like the people who quit, but you know, the boatload of people he like fired too. In his infinite billionaire genius brain, he has left essentially Twitter gutted. Excellent decisions. Very smart. Very business. Very smart. Your notification just arrived. Well, yeah, about 30 minutes. About 30 minutes into stream. I guess sometimes it's just like that. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. To be fair, we've just gotten through the first article. Yeah, time to get off that dial-up internet. True. That's how I'm streaming. All right, I think this yeah, let's do this one. He's supposedly leveling the playing field since more right-wing people are banned over time. From what I heard, he'll be altering the algorithm so that more extreme stuff will be harder to find / spread. I don't know. I don't trust him. He has no idea what he's doing. He has absolutely no idea what he's doing. Or he does. And that is to help the right. But yeah, I don't trust him. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. He's a narcissist. He's not a good person. Mono, how's it going? Yeah, he just wants to own the libs, even if it costs $44 billion. He's trying different things and seeing what works. Yeah, well, I don't even know if that's even the case. But nonetheless, I don't think he's good, and he's only a enabler to the right. Because like if Donald Trump chooses, with his 88 million followers, who are very loyal, meaning like on Twitter, with his ability to reach so many people, I mean, I don't know. Musk is a double-edged sword. No, just a bad one. There's no like it. He doesn't cut any which way except one way, and it's bad. There's only one way he cuts, and it's bad. There's no double-edged sword. It's funny watching in real time as he figures out there's reasons why things have been done the way they have. Yep. I mean, like I said, if he wants to single-handedly torpedo a Twitter by himself, I mean, the more power to him. But people should not be under the impression that he's some kind of fucking genius, because he's not. He gets unbanned. The first thing he tweets is shalom. No way. Did he get unbanned? For real? We don't need Musk for any of those things. Cosmic Seeking. We don't need Elon Musk for any of those things. For any of those three things that you mentioned, we do not need Elon Musk whatsoever at all. Nothing, like not at all. We do not need him. Yeah, didn't he? Wait, that's a great point. Didn't he just fire a whole bunch of people? Some departments at Twitter have 0 people working in them. Not anymore anyways. Unironically, Mono? Hold on, I'm gonna check this. Of course Elon would unban Kanye. I mean, like, how many more examples do we need here? Kanye West goes on like this wild anti-Semitic, like, you know, obvious anti-Semitic stuff, and like, you know, this dude's just like, yep, let's unban this guy. Project Veritas may also be unbanned. I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't check. Mono! Damn it. Kanye West says he's going to run for president of the United States. Nice. No, it's true, Mono. It's true. You're right. Your sources were correct. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that, like, Elon Musk is, like, by proxy okay with, you know? Elon responds mostly to guys like Kim.com and Ian Miles Chung. So that's really all you need to know about who he thinks is worth listening to. True. Elon Musk is like, the way he's acting, it's like if it was up to him, this would be like a little mini 4chan. If it was up to him. But yeah, you're right, Mono. Anywho. Interesting to witness this dumpster fire live. He seems to have deleted the Shalom tweet. Well, we just saw it. Did he literally just do it live? We just saw it. Maybe he literally just did that. Okay. Wow. That's interesting. It's letting me click and then it loads as unavailable. Did it get like did it get yeeted? Like while we're doing this? Did he delete it, or did it get, automodded, for lack of a better word? Hold on, let me go back. History. Yeah, let's just do this. No, it's still there. 23 hours ago. Oh, nope, never mind, it's gone. Yeah, you're right. It literally just got got yeeted live. Chat. We just saw this get yeeted live. Wow. Okay. I mean, it happened. It happened. That's funny. I saw a video saying that he would run for president over 12 hours ago. Yep. I saw that. I mean, if he runs for president again, contemplate life for 40 days and 40 nights. Touch sand. True. Ground level news. How's it going? Are you watching the stream? True. If you're in here, press 1 if you're in here. Okay. This is press 1 if you're watching this stream. Anywho, yes, that tweet was real. It's just wild to see like this dumpster fire go down live. He's running as GOP? I don't know. If he is, that would be perfect. Hold on. Kanye West 2024. And of course, he's got Milo Yiannopoulos to work on his campaign. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. He's got Milo Yiannopoulos on board. There are people left at Twitter. It's running with a skeleton crew. What is this? Oi! Here we go. He was kicking it with Nick Fuentes before his announcement. Not surprised. Wow. Dude has been going off on like some Nazi shit. Ends up hanging out with a Nazi. Damn. Coincidence? Yeah, also given that he's friends with Candace Owens, true. Which also, by the way, is supported by Ben Shapiro from the Daily Wire. According to a video posted over the weekend by X17 Online, the rapper apparently confirmed his presidential bid, saying in part, "We're moving towards the future." West said that he's working on his campaign with far-right commentator Milo Yiannopoulos, who interned for Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is Milo right here working on the campaign, Ye said in the video, which also shows him with clothing that reads Ye 24 printed on it. West ran as an independent in 2020, receiving around 60,000 votes in the dozen states where his name was on the ballot. He had requested to be entered as a write-in candidate elsewhere. 60,000 votes. Jesus Christ. The confirmation comes after West's Twitter account was recently restored after Elon Musk's takeover of the platform. West was banned for violating Twitter policies after publishing anti-Semitic comments. Right, and of course, Elon Musk is perfectly comfortable with this. This also comes less than a week after former President Trump also revealed his bid for the White House in 2024. Trump sets up a potential rematch against President Biden, who turned 80 over the weekend, saying he intends to run for re-election. Trump also had his Twitter account restored after Musk polled users. Remember, he told us that it was going to be some type of a council that was going to assist in making these account restoration decisions. Trump was banned after the January 6th insurrection. Yep, that's about it. The question is Kanye West running under the GOP banner? I think Twitter only needs 1,800 people to run it. That was determined when Twitter only had 2/3 as many users and only 1,000 employees. Yeah, at the time, maybe. Oh, he's running with the GOP? Isn't Shapiro distancing himself from Kanye? Well, he employs Candace Owens. And he runs in very, very close circles. So even like if he tries to distance himself, like I don't know how that works. He even tried to do like a milquetoast defense of Kanye, like saying like, yeah, the anti-Semitic stuff was mad, but you know, the thing is like it doesn't say if he's running with the GOP. It just says that he's going to run. So I'm not sure. It doesn't say. It does not say. If he's actually going to run as an independent or as a. Or as a member of the GOP. Not sure. If he primary Trumps, then that's a good thing. That's a good thing. The more people that get into this, the better. And like hopefully the best case, like the best scenario would be a DeSantis announcement. Would be a DeSantis announcement. Like Kanye, honestly, like yay, honestly, it's pretty irrelevant politically. So, yeah. Honestly, the best case scenario is if Ron DeSantis announces, because then it will be a very, very bloody primary, and hopefully, and hopefully that will really damage the GOP. Kanye got 60,000 votes when he ran in 2020. True. In the entire country. 60,000 votes. I think Pence has thrown it in too. I don't know if he's officially announced. Has he? That could be another good way of splitting up the GOP. Pence 2024. As the Republican Party continues to reel from its disappointing midterms, prominent conservatives, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't seem like they announced. Yeah, I don't know. He'd do better this time, probably. The more damage to the GOP, the better, honestly. The reason why I'd like Ron DeSantis to throw in right now is because if it is really a bad, like, some bad blood there, with Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, that could also um, damage DeSantis's gubernatorial re-elections next time. It won't be as easy. And see Marjorie Taylor Greene running. No, I don't think she's gonna run. Oh, you meant Ye. Oh, you think he would do better? Oh, maybe. Maybe. If he does an actual campaign, with the GOP, under the GOP banner, he might do better. Milo also interned for MTG. Yeah, all these far right people are basically buddies with each other. MTG potential VP for Trump? You think so? Nah. Just don't see any Trump weeps converting to Yay. No, I don't see that either. I see Trump being the GOP nominee regardless. I see Trump as the winner of the primary regardless. It's just a matter of I want to see him damaged as much as possible in a brutal primary. That's it. DeSantis is about to start a second term as a governor, isn't he? Florida has 2 consecutive term limits. Oh, shoot. Hold on. I might be engaging in some fake news. I'm sorry. How many? Yeah, I think so. I'm sorry. You want my Twitter? Here. I should make a command for that. Sorry. It's just my username, the same one. Gotcha. Yep, fake news, everybody. Ignore me, please. Ron DeSantis is not going to be eligible to run again. Thank goodness. Yes, you are correct, Maple Leaf Dragon. I'm disappointed the Dems don't have a strong rising star. True. They're going to put all their eggs in one basket, which is Biden. Who is that, Spiny Watson? Ted Budd. Who is that? Let me, the fact that we had to ask who he was means he won't win. No, well, no, it looks like he won his election. In his district, but yeah, I don't know who he is nationally wise. I don't know. The fact that we had to ask means he won't win. True. The Dems could have a rising star, but the only people they seem to pick are retirement age or older. True. Who's running for president? Biden, Trump, and that's pretty much it. If it ends up being, if Trump ends up winning the nomination for the Republican Party, that's basically it. I mean, there could be a Libertarian candidate or a Green Party candidate, but that's pretty much, it doesn't matter. It's going to end up being Biden or Trump if he's the one that's nominating. Anyways, yeah, this Ted Budd guy is pretty much, it's pretty much a clown. Yeah, pretty much your standard Republican clown. No other name recognition, so anyone that gets ad time from the red and blue, probably. That's the duopoly that we live in. Obama had little name recognition in 2006. True. That's a good point. 2 years of repeating a name, both sides want a fresh start. I don't know about that. Trump is a dumpster fire and Biden is old and dying. Well, I mean, so is Trump. Trump is old and also dying. I mean, that's what happens when you get old, dude. Did you think that Trump isn't going to die or what? Trump is only a dumpster fire. The only reason Republicans don't like him anymore is because he's getting too comfortable with saying way too many things out loud. And he's being way too open with things. That's the problem, fundamentally. Anyways, Kanye is gonna run for president, I guess. The only thing that I need to know is whether or not he's going to end up running for under the GOP. They don't like him because he lost and the rest doesn't matter. True. That's a good point. The GOP don't want to run against Trump, though. Yeah, the GOP base is still very loyal to Trump. So it's very hard for the party to actually get rid of him. But at the end of the day, they will still vote for him. And at the end of the day, the majority, if not all, of GOP falls in line with his agenda anyways. Trump is too much talk and drama. No, he's not just talk and drama. He's very dangerous. Yeah, he's not just drama. Mayhem Hippie, how's it going? Trump's word only has a switch and it's a tendency to loop repeatedly. True. Anyways, we'll see if he ends up running under the GOP banner. Who knows? I don't think Kanye West is going to be that big. Like, he's not going to get that much support. Alright. The GOP could put a literal pile of shit as their candidate and they'd still vote for it. True! They did vote for Trump. Twice. That's true. Georgia appeals a ruling on Saturday, early voting for runoff. Pay attention, Georgia. There's a runoff election in a couple of weeks. December 6th. Georgia is appealing a judge's ruling that allows county staff early voting this coming Saturday in the U.S. Senate runoff election between Raphael Warnock and domestic abuser Herschel Walker. Warnock's campaign, along with Democratic Party of Georgia and the Democratic Senatorial Campaign, sued the state last week, arguing that early voting should be allowed that day. They were challenging a guidance from Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger said that state law does not allow early voting on a Saturday if there is a holiday on the Thursday or Friday preceding it. Thursday is Thanksgiving and Friday is a state holiday. The Saturday following those two holidays, November 26th, is the only possibility for Saturday voting before next month's Senate runoff between Warnock and Walker. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Thomas Cox issued an order siding with the Warnock campaign and the Democratic groups. He found that the law cited by the state regarding Saturday voting after a holiday does not apply to a runoff election. Nice. Awesome. Lawyers for the state on Monday filed an appeal with Georgia Court of Appeals, and they asked the court to immediately stay the lower court ruling. Yeah, get effed. Trump bonded with Mr. Putin for a common love of corruption and kept the Russians from going to war. Not really. No evidence of that. That's the kind of thing that like literally didn't happen. Donald Trump did not stop the Russians from going to war. Those decisions were made regardless if he won or not. Okay, relax. Biden's main appeal was not being Trump and can't name any other quality. I mean, you could probably say like there's a couple of things. But yeah, mostly that's it. Mostly is that we can pump the brakes on this train here. And we're gonna have to do it again, unfortunately. He also likes ice cream. That's a good point too. They argued in a court filing that the ruling was erroneous for procedural reasons, but also that Cox was wrong to consider runoff a separate type of election rather than continuation of the general election. Well, it's a separate election, right? Because there could theoretically be a outcome where in the general election, you would have three candidates, right? What if it wasn't Herschel Walker? What if in an upset, the Libertarian candidate ended up with more votes than Walker? Then we would have a different set of candidates, right? We would have Warnock versus the Libertarian candidate, or Warnock versus whatever, right? So, yeah, it is kind of a separate election. Warnock and Walker, a former football player, a domestic abuser who has been known to threaten his partners with firearms, were forced into a December 6th runoff because neither won a majority in the midterm election. Georgia's 2021 election law compressed that time period between general election and runoff to 4 weeks, and Thanksgiving falls right in the middle. Many Georgians will be offered only 5 weekdays of early in-person voting beginning November 28th. 7 days from now, next week, folks. That's right. Next week. It's GA and LA have runoffs next month. Yep. Boebert did sadly win. Damn. That's unfortunate. I really wanted to see her lose. That was very, very close. That was very close. So we will keep track of this. I mean, if they run out the clock, I guess it doesn't matter, right? They've got 1 week. They've got basically 1, 2, 3, 4 days, maybe. Did they recount Boebert race? I don't. I mean, it's not going to change much. Did they officially call it? I think they already did. The Democratic candidate conceded. Yeah, but it doesn't matter though, right? It doesn't matter if like concession is like a formality. I don't see that it was called officially. Yeah. The Democratic candidate did concede, but I don't think that that's relevant. That doesn't matter. Because um, yeah, it was not called officially. Correct. So until that happens, um, we'll just wait for the final results. But it looks like two things are gonna happen. They need to call it, and then they need to do a recount. It's like an automatic recount. So yeah, we won't know officially until that's done. Yeah, it's a $500 500 vote margin. Yep. No, not an audit, a recount. So we'll see what happens with this, but this is a good thing. They had to cure a bunch of the ballots, and I don't think they're finished. Oh, Lord. Man. If there's a scenario where by some miracle Boebert loses, oh, man. You best believe you're gonna see these clowns talk about curing ballots and whatnot. Major rail union rejects deal brokered by Biden, threatening a strike before the holidays. A union representing rail conductors narrowly voted to reject a collective bargaining agreement orchestrated by Biden, by the Biden administration, moving one step closer to a crippling freight rail strike that appeared to have been averted 2 months ago. The Smart Transportation Division, representing about 28,000 conductors, rejected this deal on Monday, while a separate union representing rail engineers, the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen, voted to ratify the 5-year agreement. Last Wednesday was the last curing day. I don't know. You mean like Wednesday this week? No, that can't be. I don't know. I don't know. It might be. It might be a minute before we officially find out. The split among the two largest rail unions comes after 3 smaller unions already rejected this agreement with rail companies. With rail companies that was brokered by the White House in September. 8 freight rail unions now have approved this agreement, but all 12 must sign for ratification. A rail strike or lockout could paralyze the economy by halting the shipment of many foods, particularly grain and critical goods, before the next month's holiday season. It's now back to bargaining table for our operating craft members, said Jeremy Ferguson, president of Smart TD, adding that he believes issues can be resolved without a strike. The ball is now in the railroad's courts. Let's see what they do. Yeah, like this should have been solved a while ago. Very simple. You give the employees what they want. That's it. These rail companies should have just given the employees what they need. That's it. That's the solution. Plain and simple. The status quo contract is in place until December 8th. Smart TD can go on strike, or rail companies can lock out workers beginning December 9th if an agreement is not reached. Congress has the power to intervene to set a contract if parties don't reach a deal. In addition to straining supply chains, a shutdown would disrupt could disrupt passenger rail, including Amtrak, which operates mostly on tracks owned by freight railroads. Let's be clear: if the remaining unions do not accept an agreement, Congress should be prepared to act and avoid a disastrous $2 billion hit to our economies, saying Ian Jeffries, president and CEO of the Association of American Railroads, which represents the nation's largest freight companies. Right, this is a threat. Basically, to tell the unions to bend the knee and take it, essentially. They include Union Pacific, CSX, Norfolk Southern, BNSF, and Canadian National, and Kansas City Southern. Jeffrey said that rail carriers stand ready to reach agreements with unions, but warned that the window continues to narrow as deadlines rapidly approach. A White House official reiterated the president's position that a rail shutdown is unacceptable because of the harm it would inflict on jobs, families, farms, and businesses and communities across the country. The best option is still for the parties to resolve this themselves. President Joe Biden has not intervened in this dispute since September, when his administration helped reach a tentative agreement to resolve a 3-year stalemate between the rail unions and companies. The proposed contract includes a 24% pay increase over 5 years, 5,000 bonuses, voluntary assigned days off or 1 additional paid off, guaranteed time away, medical visits, and no disruption to current healthcare plans. But despite winning these endorsements of union leaders, their members must vote to approve the deal for it to become final. The railroad situation is absurd. They should have agreed to the workers' demands, considering the railroads are dangerously understaffed. True. Last week's news on unions: union members should be sued if they strike. No. Greedy ass fucking corporations should stop treating their workers like shit. Maybe, maybe do that. Maybe stop operating on skeleton crews, dangerously understaffing, your shifts. Making folks have an almost impossible situation to get time off, to get sick days. Fuck 'em. The rail conductors' vote Monday was razor close, with 51% of union members voting to reject the deal. The Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen, which has about 50,000 members, voted 53 to 46 to approve this agreement. So it is very, it seems a little bit more likely that we might see a strike. See non-union work for bus workers. They ride the buses until the brakes are totally gone, until it's metal on metals. Unions would prevent that. I don't know what... This is incoherent. If the railroad workers don't get what they need, then they should absolutely strike. And if it comes down to the railroad workers having to go on strike, keep in mind that the blame here is on these corporations. Keep in mind the blame here. When shit hits the fan, keep in mind when shit hits the fan, it's going to be the corporation's fault. Unions put better care into their jobs so break issues would never happen. Sure. But earlier, you just said union members... Oh, I see. Okay, maybe I just misread your first comment. Never mind. Just ignore me. The railroad companies keep making sick days and other time off unavailable. Time off, quote, available, but there are never any employees to staff these positions because they don't have enough people to fix the existing schedule. Right. Correct. And you know what? If the unions end up needing to strike, just remember that all of this is because of these greedy fucks in the railroad companies. Just remember that if shit ends up hitting the fan, it's because of them. They refuse to give the workers what they need in safe conditions to be able to properly do this. All right, folks, give me 1 second. I need to blow my nose. Give me 1 second. Folks, if you haven't already and you want to support the channel, head on over to our YouTube channel and hit the big red subscribe button. And if you're not already following, hit the follow button. It really does help us out, and you get 5 free emotes. Give me 1 second. It'll just take a moment just to blow my nose real quick, and I'll be right back. Ha! Joke's on you, Maple Leaf Dragon. I put the microphone on mute, so all the explosions are completely silent. All right, let's switch gears really quickly. This is probably one of the most important stories. The heck? Okay. There we go. This is probably one of the most important stories that should be plastered, wall-to-wall coverage. And unfortunately, I don't see that much around. Wow, dude, you joined Twitch 2 days ago. Cool, dude. Wow, dude. Awesome, dude. Hey, can you define fascism? What is fascism, dude? Real quick for me. Give me a definition of fascism.
Audio Jungle.
Hello? Wrong. Try again. I swear to God, these clowns, like, these clowns, make our job harder by distorting what words mean, like fascism. They're actually empowering fascists, which makes total sense when you start to think about it. But people like this end up actually empowering fascism by distorting and making a complete mockery of the definition and word. They actually give more credence and more power to fascism. So people like that, you can immediately disregard their political opinions because they're useless. Lawmakers urge action after report of other high court leak. The chairman of the Senate and Judiciary Committee... Oh, hold on, folks. Let me just get rid of this. Has said his panel is reviewing serious allegations in a report that a former anti-abortion leader knew in advance the outcome of the 2014 Supreme Court case involving healthcare coverage of contraception. A report on Saturday by the New York Times following the stunning leak earlier this year of a draft opinion in which the High Court overturned Roe v. Wade and the constitutional protection for abortion. That decision was written by Justice Alito. Pseudo-intellectual narcissistic clown. Cool, dude. Wow, did you make up those words yourself? That's cute. Don't worry, move along. You'll find someone else to bother. You'll be alright. His panel is reviewing serious allegations in a report that former anti-abortion leader knew in advance the outcome of a 2014 Supreme Court case. The report on Saturday in the New York Times followed a stunning leak earlier this year in the draft opinion in which the High Court overturned Roe v. Wade and the constitutional protection for abortion. That decision is written by Justice Alito, who is also the author of this majority opinion in 2014, in the 2014 case at the center of this new report. Listen, buddy, stop DMing me. The adults are talking, okay? We're having an actual discussion about politics, okay? The adults are talking. Excuse me. In the Times story, Reverend Rob Schneck said he learned this outcome of the Burwell versus Hobby Lobby store case weeks before the decision was made public. In a 5-4 decision, Alito wrote that some companies with religious objections can avoid this contraceptive requirement in President Obama's healthcare legislation. So this was that famous case in 2014 where Hobby Lobby basically said that they shouldn't be allowed, that they don't have to pay for contraceptive healthcare because of religious objections. Yeah. And somehow this religious leader was told about this decision beforehand. Very interestingly enough, Alito was also the same person who wrote the Jackson versus Dobbs. Schneck, who had previously headed the group Faith in Action, has said in other recent stories in Politico and Rolling Stone that he was part of a concerted effort to forge social and ministry relationships with conservative justices. This is nothing new. But it is incredibly disturbing that these religious institutions have such a close relationship with the Supreme Court, which of course should ring numerous alarm bells. I suppose Hobby Lobby as a religious organization wants exempt from taxes too. If it was up to them, yes. This is also nothing new. There's been numerous cases where these religious institutions wine and dine justices, especially those that come from the Federalist Society. I mean, this has been going on for quite a while. In the Times story, Schneck said that the information about Hobby Lobby decision came from Gail Wright, a donor to his organization, who was part of the outreach effort to justices who had dined with Alito. There we go. Who had dined with Alito, and his wife, Wright herself, denied obtaining or sharing any information in an interview with the Times. That's very interesting because here, this reverend, who is a leader of this religious organization, somehow managed to admit that he knew about this decision before it was done. Yeah. And the New York Times also published a letter to Schneck, as he said he wrote Chief Justice Roberts in July, alerting him to the alleged breach years ago. Schneck wrote that he thought the information might be relevant as part of a probe into the leak of the abortion decision. Senator Dick Durbin, the chairman of Senate Judiciary, said in a statement Saturday that the committee is reviewing these serious allegations, and he called on fellow members of Congress to pass a bill that would require the High Court to adopt a code of ethics. Currently, the Supreme Court does not have an official code of ethics that they have to abide by. That's why you have people like Thomas Clarence in what is obvious a conflict of interest, not stepping down from certain decisions that involved his wife. Yeah, that should be grounds to impeach a justice. True. What happened with Justice Clarence Thomas was grounds enough too. And the audacity that what was it? Which one was it? Was it Chief Justice Roberts who was like clutching his pearls and on his soapbox saying that it is a disrespect that people are questioning the legitimacy of the court, or questioning the integrity of the court? Was it Roberts, or who was it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Roberts who penned like a piece being very big mad that people are questioning the integrity of the Supreme Court. Yeah, dude, what do you respond to this shit? How do you respond to this shit? Two fellow Democrats, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island, and Representative Hank Johnson of Georgia, who chairs court subcommittees, issued a statement calling the Times report another black mark of the Supreme Court's increasingly marred ethical record, and said they intend to get to the bottom of these serious allegations, and they too urged a passage of code of ethics. The Times story included an emphatic denial by Alito that he disclosed the outcome of the case. The court released Alito's full statement to the AP. The allegations that the Wrights were told of the outcome of this decision in the Hobby Lobby case, or the authorship of the opinion of the court by me or my wife, is completely false. My wife and I became acquainted with the Wrights some years ago because of their strong support of the Supreme Court Historical Society, and since then, we've had casual and purely social relationships. Yeah, first of all, bullshit. I'm going to press X to doubt on that, but whatever. Art by Scenic, how's it going? I never detected any effort on part of the Wrights to obtain a confidential information or influence anything I did in an official or private capacity, and I would have strongly objected if they had done so. I have no knowledge of any project that they allegedly undertook for Faith in Action, Faith in Liberty, or any similar group, and I would have been shocked and offended if those allegations are true. Yeah, sure, whatever, dude. I don't trust a single word of these people. Schneck's Faith and Action group became Faith and Liberty after becoming part of the Liberty Council in 2018. Alito was appointed to the High Court, by GW. Yep. So there we have it. Yet another Supreme Court leak And here we have an actual a supposed witness of this making these allegations. A cute animal video? Sure. Being appointed a justice does not mean you became a saint and immune to corruption. We should have always have reason to question integrity if it's warranted. True. And recent events definitely calls into question the integrity of these clowns. When people say Supreme Court is nonpartisan, it totally disproves it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. The Supreme Court is absolutely... What? To think that people don't have biases. As if these are like 9 magical wizard people that don't have biases and whatnot. That is a silly thought process. What gets me is that this guy literally stood on his soapbox saying that, there should be no reason to question the integrity of the court. Yeah. Okay, dude. Hold on. Let me find that article. Roberts, integrity of the court. Yeah, here we are. It was Roberts. Justice Roberts defended the integrity of the Supreme Court in his first public remarks following the too much term, saying that the disagreement decision should not lead to its questions of legitimacy. No, it's not just about the disagreement with decisions. It's how they were done, dude. It's other shit too. You don't just like, oh, yeah, dude, I didn't like the way you ruled, so now I'm going to question the legitimacy. No, it's depending on why. And furthermore, a justice's integrity isn't just like tied to whether or not they made decisions on a case. A justice's integrity can be questioned by, I don't know, maybe choosing to not recuse themselves in a very obvious case where conflict of interest comes into play. They really need to add term limits for these people because conservative judges are clearly doing whatever they think is good regardless of their legal text. True. There's ways. I've heard different models of how to kind of balance things out democratically, but none of them I see being in any capacity of being able to be deployed. We're not final because we're infallible, but we are infallible only because we are final. True. It is also funny that you never see this crap coming from the left-leaning justices, even though they're not immune to corruption either. It was only after her death that all the stories of RGB came out. True. Art by C. Nico, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah, so Justice Roberts is going to really need to explain this one here. Probably the quickest way to explain it is if he can disprove this claim. Basically. All right, I think we have enough time for this. We'll try to get through this. I'm surprised this story hit the AP. Yeah, it hit the AP, the New York Times, and I guess after that it's just, well, some outlets picked it up. Some outlets.
Office has changed his name to spread awareness of Rainn Wilson from The Office has changed his name to spread awareness of the climate crisis. I don't think it's official, but it's what he's being asked to be called now. I'll let him explain.
Hi there, I'm Rainn Wilson, or should I say rain, fall, heat wave, rising sea levels, and we have to do something about it now, Wilson. As a cheap little stunt to help save planet Earth, I've changed my name on Twitter, Instagram, and even on my fancy writing paper.
This is not a joke. I'm as serious as the melting Arctic, which amplifies global risks, including extreme weather events around the globe. He added, I'm hoping this name change brings attention to this growing, melting issue. Wilson serves as a board member of Arctic Base Camp, a group of Arctic experts who have brought their knowledge to various major global gatherings.
That's right. He's now Rainfall Heatwave Extreme Winter Wilson. I think it has a nice ring to it, don't you? While this might be a silly stunt, like he himself said, he got the Hollywood Reporter of all places to talk about climate change, so I'm pretty content with this move. Welcome to the Climate Recap from the Beckosphere Climate Corner, your go-to place for international and US-based climate news. I'm Becky Hogue, a climate communicator. Click the subscribe button and ring the bell icon to stay updated on this important topic, and let's jump right into today's news. While not much seems to be happening inside of COP27's event, the large UN climate conference taking place in Egypt right now, things are moving outside of it. Yeah, we'll talk more about what happened for week 2 of COP27 in the next video. But in this video, we're going to talk about what is happening on the outside of COP27. And because it's been a while since I've done a regular recap, a lot of these moves were made like right before COP27 started. But before we learn about more policy moves, we need to hear about some extreme weather events and studies. Starting with the former, the triple La Nina is continuing to flood Australia. Heavy rainfall fell in the continent's southeast at the beginning of this week, resulting in evacuations and flooding that cut off inland towns. Specifically, this event burst riverbanks and submerged roads and bridges in southwest New South Wales and northeast Victoria, which has already seen several flooding events this year. The triple La Nina is expected to continue until about March of next year.
Jesus.
Similarly, a recent study showed a different part of Australia, namely Sydney, has seen rainfall events intensify by 40% over the last 2 decades. The researchers at the ARC Center of Excellence for Climate Extremes looked at data on rainbursts, which are extreme downpour events that occur for a period of about 10 minutes from 1997 to 2018. The researchers say the cause of this intensification is not totally clear, but climate change is definitely in the picture. The study's co-author said, quote, "There's a lot of evidence that climate change could push the system in this direction, but this is maybe 10 times more than we would have expected just from climate change." The team ruled out climate systems like the El Nino Southern Oscillation and the Indian Ocean Dipole as possible causes. What do you think might be causing it? Do you think that climate change is making more of an impact than we think, or that there's something else going on? Let me know in the comment section below.
Both can be true.
Last week, the UK experienced its warmest Armistice Day in history, according to the Met Office, with some places reaching as high as 67 degrees Fahrenheit or 19.5 degrees Celsius. Wales was the only UK nation that didn't experience record temperatures. The UK has warmed about 1.2 degrees Celsius since the year 1800. Speaking of the heat, let's take a look at Texas for our first climate study. Warning, it's a bit heavy. Extreme heat is responsible for hundreds of deaths in Texas's prisons from 2001 to 2019. 2/3 of the Texas prisons don't have air conditioning, which is crazy because it's Texas. So extreme heat is likely the cause of 13% of prisoner deaths during the 6 hottest months of each year. That's about 271 Texan lives lost, or about an average of 14 a year. This study, which was published last week in the academic journal JAMA Network Open, directly contradicts the claims by Texas officials that heat hasn't resulted in any deaths. In fact, temperatures in facilities have risen to 149 degrees Fahrenheit
Very
or
awful.
65 degrees Celsius before.
You get
So how
something
can no
akin
one
to
have died
rainbursts
from
around
that?
here
Extreme
too?
heat like this
Gotcha.
used to not be as common, but climate change is making 105 degree Fahrenheit days go from rare to representing more than 50 days in a year for more than a
Jesus.
third of the state by 2050, according to a report by the Union of Concerned Scientists. So far, Texas officials have repeatedly failed to pass any bills that would fund installing AC units in prisons. World has 9 years to avert catastrophic warming, study shows. Wow, Washington Post, that's a scary headline. Let's see if it's warranted. An international group of scientists published this year's 2022 Global Carbon Budget, which I read some of. It basically sees how much we emitted in 2021 and most of 2022 compared with the previous year. The study looked at how much carbon dioxide came from fossil fuels used in the energy sector and through cement production and deforestation and other land use changes, and subtracted how much of that would have been taken up by natural carbon sinks like forests and the ocean. And 2022 is likely to see a 1% increase from 2021. Which would make a new record in
Mass
carbon
capital
emissions this
punishment by
year.
climate disruption. True.
That's not a good trend. We're burning through our carbon budget fast. By carbon budget,
Oi! She remembered the goats. It's cute.
I mean how much carbon dioxide we can afford to emit before we heat up the planet to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Since about the year 1800, we've increased the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere by more than 50%, and we are now above pre-COVID emissions levels, so we have officially failed to build back greener. Emissions decreased slightly for 24 countries, including China and the European Union. These 24 countries make up about a quarter of global emissions. China's emissions dip was likely due to strict COVID lockdowns, by the way, as it still is definitely on track to keep increasing emissions in the near future. Meanwhile, the US, India, and the rest of the world increased their emissions. Since last year, the US increased its emissions by 1.5%, India increased its emissions by 6%, and the rest of the world increased its emissions by about 1.7%. By the way, did you know that India is expected to surpass China's population size next year? That's wild. Anyways, let's go back to the title. World has 9 years to avert catastrophic warming. Where does that come from? Well, the study's authors put out in plain-ish English. Yes, such good plain-ish English that I kind of missed what they were saying the first time. They're basically saying that in order to maintain a 50% likelihood of reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius and not surpassing it, we only have 9 years to fully decarbonize. That's the same case for 1.7 degrees. We only have a 50% chance if we decarbonize fully in 18 years, and to keep warming at 2 degrees Celsius, we have 30 years to fully decarbonize to get a 50% chance that we will actually keep the warming at 2 degrees Celsius. In my interpretation of this, we kind of know that 1.5 degrees Celsius, keeping it there is pretty much a lost cause at this point, because we're definitely not going to fully decarbonize in 9 years. But now our goal should definitely be trying to hit 1.7 degrees Celsius, because I'd rather hit and overshoot 1.7 than overshoot 2 degrees Celsius. You know what I mean? And you'll learn a little more about how nerve-wracking it is to surpass 2 degrees Celsius in a sec. So the word catastrophic is subjective.
Oi, to the clown who keeps trying to get through the auto mod, to the clown who's trying to currently get through the auto mod, you can keep trying. It's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. So yeah, dude. I can't believe that coal is still a thing in 2022. Me neither. Me neither. But you can blame, essentially, capitalism for that.
But this is what that level of warming would mean according to a different 2022 study. It would mean that we would be likely to see Greenland's ice sheet collapse, the West Antarctic ice sheet collapse, tropical coral reefs die off, northern permafrost abruptly thaw, the Barents Sea lose all of its ice, and possibly several other tipping points unless we significantly curb our emissions. Additionally, the authors of the Global Carbon Budget say the number of new projects being approved due to the energy crisis goes beyond what's needed and will likely deplete our carbon budget faster. The only way these projects won't interfere with our decarbonization goals is if they are closed before the end of their lifespan, which means they would turn into stranded assets. This study is scary, but frankly not surprising based on previous studies that we have looked at. They're all basically saying the same thing, and yet new gas projects in particular continue to be announced every week, so clearly politicians are still not listening. You know what we're also overdoing? How many gas and diesel cars we're making.
Obviously politicians aren't listening. Yes.
We being Toyota, Volkswagen, and Hyundai or Kia, according to a German and Australian study that looked at 12 of the top car companies. Toyota is the most off track. Oh, how they have fallen from being the hybrid king. Overall, the companies are on track to produce about 400 million.
Yeah, so basically, Georgia, Florida becomes like the new beachfront property. Yeah, eventually. As trends continue, should we theoretically continue down the same path without, moving, without changing anything? Yeah. Give it some decades. We'll be closer to that Maple Leaf Dragon. Joe Manchin also has money in coal. True.
More diesel and petrol cars than what our carbon budget would allow. Other car companies that are doing better at being on track, though, are Volvo, General Motors, and Mercedes-Benz, which are planning on stopping the manufacturing of petrol engine cars by as early as 2025. Now let's talk about methane emissions, which are 80 times better at trapping in heat than CO2 for the first 20 years they're in the atmosphere. Methane emissions from 15 meat and dairy companies produce about 11% of methane emissions globally, which would make them, as an entity, the 10th largest emitter in the world. Saying it another way, the 15 livestock companies together produce more emissions than New Zealand, France, Germany, and Canada, or about 80% of the EU's methane emissions. I can also say it like their combined methane emissions are more than the amount produced by Exxon, Mobil, BP, and Shell. barrel. The researchers singled out the world's largest meat company, JBS, French dairy giant Danone, and the American meat company Tyson. Tyson produces about as much methane emissions as Russia, and the dairy farmers of
Holy
America
shit.
produce as much methane emissions as the UK. Have I made enough comparisons yet? Livestock pollutes way more than countries act like they do. Right now in COP27, agriculture emissions, it's still really not being talked about enough. Many countries still don't even require big ag companies to report their emissions. They're voluntary. Collaborative studies are important. Peer review studies are important because top universities' energy policy centers are biased towards fossil fuels, according to a new study published in the journal Nature Climate Change. The fossil fuel industry funds many of these institutions, like Columbia's Center on Global Energy Policy, MIT's Energy Initiative, and Stanford's Precourt Institute for Energy. For example, Columbia's center boasts partnerships with BP, ConocoPhillips, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and Occidental Petroleum on their website. This matters because the
Wait, what? But this is how they ranch.
globally, which agriculture publish research used for policymaking and testify in front of Congress. Much of this research that comes from these centers also doesn't need to be peer-reviewed like most scientific studies do, which can result in more biases slipping through. The graduate research team from Columbia's School of International and Public Affairs, yep, they went to Columbia versus Columbia on this one, wanted to see the funding's impact on research biases, so they used machine learning to compare similar studies conducted by centers that advertised their fossil fuel funding partnerships and ones that weren't funded by that industry or at least didn't advertise that they were. The team reviewed over 1,000 studies from the US, Canada, and the UK published from 2009 to 2020 and focused their search on biases towards natural gas. They found that the studies produced by Columbia, MIT, and Stanford's energy centers were more favorable towards gas than renewable energy. The researchers found that these centers' positions towards gas was nearly indistinguishable from the American Gas Foundation and the American Gas Association's positions. And that doesn't mean that they're right, because 23 other centers that the researchers looked at that didn't have any known ties to fossil fuels actually favored renewables and hydropower and were more neutral towards gas. While partnerships were out in the open and the center's main websites, Columbia, MIT, and Stanford centers only included fossil fuel funding in the acknowledgement section of their reports less than 25% of the time, which is not very transparent. Columbia denied these allegations, and MIT and Stanford didn't comment. What do you think of these findings? From the lack of peer review, which is the basis of science, by the way, to the lack of funding disclosure in their reports, I am seeing red flag after red flag, and I will keep this information in mind when I am looking at energy studies in the future. Now let's look at Africa. If you saw my recent COP27 video, then you know that Africa is conflicted about investing in fossil fuels. One of the elements that I didn't bring up involves the idea of stranded assets, which I spoke on a little bit earlier in this video. It's basically the concept that project financiers won't get all of the bang for their buck in these exploration and infrastructure investments because the decarbonization effort will force projects to close before their natural lifespan is up. The think tank Carbon Tracker recently released a report that sees a drop in oil prices in the near future due to electrification and clean energy adoption, decreasing the demand for fuel. This will lead to the following: lower export revenue and a drop in fossil fuel investments, which could result in some international oil companies not following through with demand, and lower than expected investments that might lead to fewer domestic gas supplies than expected, because gas can come as a byproduct of oil. So while countries are exporting oil, they're using the byproduct.
I would have to
gas
look into
for
that,
themselves.
Maple Leaf.
The lack of supply could result in more energy insecurity. Quote, whilst one might argue that the result would be lower gas prices and therefore a positive impact on affordability, the current situation illustrates the likelihood of premium buyers countering this, and particularly LNG remaining a premium commodity. So basically the industry is still going to continue to hike prices even if the demand decreases. Carbon Tracker also predicts that lower gas prices and decreased investment will risk countries' financial stability due to reduced licensing and tax take. Bottom line, African countries might be coming in right as global oil prices are peaking, which is a risky investment. While the global north is pushing African countries to invest more in fossil fuels due to Russia's invasion in Ukraine, the war is also pushing the north more towards clean energy, which is a bad combination for Africa. Carbon Tracker recommends Africa utilize its impressive access to solar energy, which is 60% higher than the global average. Despite this amazing resource, Africa currently only represents 2% of global solar installations. Moving to solar requires both financial injections and policy to upgrade its grid. But Carbon Tracker says solar is actually already the cheapest form of energy in some parts of Africa, and it expects that solar will outcompete operational coal and natural gas plants for electricity generation by 2030 across the entire continent. That's honestly really good news. Carbon Tracker recommends private capital take advantage of this amazing opportunity. It already sees private solar investment in Africa increasing by 25% by the mid-2020s. Quote, with the right structure and risk strategies, new solar investments in Africa can now earn double-digit returns in their internal rate of return projections, therefore making it one of the most profitable and least risky energy technologies on the planet. What do you think of Carbon Tracker's findings? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.
Well,
especially
hopefully
if
that
you are in
trend
the solar
continues.
industry or in Africa, and especially if you are in the solar industry in Africa. Speaking of Africa, let's start the climate victory section by talking about some good news out of the continent. Last week, South Africa released a 200-plus page, 5-year, $84 billion investment plan to shift from coal straight to clean energy. 70% of the money will go towards cleaning up the energy sector, 4% will go towards creating more green jobs for coal workers, 22% will go towards building the green hydrogen sector, and 8.5% will go towards the electric vehicle sector. Green hydrogen is formed by clean energy powering electrolyzers that split water into hydrogen and oxygen. South Africa is betting big on this technology to decarbonize its industry and heavy transportation sectors. The country says it needs $39 billion in investments to pull this off and is working with country partners, the private sector, and philanthropists to make it work. During COP26, the large UN climate conference that took place last year in Glasgow, Scotland, wealthy countries allocated $8.5 billion towards South Africa's clean energy transition. But only 4% of that money will be in the form of grants. So most of that money is in the form of loans that will need to be paid back, likely with interest. South Africa wants countries to provide more money than this, especially in the form of grants. The president recently said, quote, I have stressed that the component of the grant funding is much lower than what we need to fund our transition. We are a country that is already heavily burdened with
Elon
debt,
Musk
and I've
bought Twitter
communicated
for
that
more
very clearly to them,
than what it
them
would
being
take.
wealthy countries. What do you think of South Africa's decarbonization? Let me know in the comment section below, especially if you live in South Africa. Ahead of COP27, billionaire Michael Bloomberg announced his plan to help 25 developing countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America phase out coal in favor of clean energy by 2040. One of these countries is South Africa. And yes, Bloomberg as in Bloomberg News. He's also the former mayor of New York and a special envoy on climate change for the UN. Bloomberg has already given $500 million towards phasing out coal-fired power plants in the US. He did not announce any new money to go towards this new initiative though, but said it would focus on helping countries develop
Off-topic question. Do we know the tools used by the U.S. government to spur insurrection in third world countries? Currently, I'm not aware. What we do now is just like economic stuff. We use economic power.
business plans, national policies, and technological resources to mobilize big dollar investments in clean energy. By the way,
you would have to give an example. What insurrection are you talking about that the U.S. government had a hand in? Like, you would need to give an example because that would probably give you the answer to your question, right?
My neighbors decided to tear down their house, so if you hear construction in the background, that's what that is. Bloomberg Philanthropies and Sustainable Finance for All is partnering with countries which include Brazil, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Mexico, Nigeria, the Philippines, South Africa, and Turkey. The full list of the countries is on the screen here. This effort will need to bring in hundreds of billions of dollars because even though clean energy is cheaper in most countries, like we just talked about, the perceived risk of switching to clean energy keeps the transition prices high, which is really unfortunate. Around the same time as that announcement, the European Union agreed to a law to expand forests, marshes, and other carbon sinks to reduce the block's emissions. A carbon sink is anything that takes up carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The legislation, called the Land Use Change, and Forestry Regulation, that's a really dumb name, but okay, set a target of removing 310 million tons of CO2 equivalent.
You mean
by
something that
2030.
happened in 2010?
Taken up by
And I don't even know if this had anything to do with us 100% necessarily. Yeah, I'm not sure. You're talking about a 2010 event, 2011 event. What is the link here?
Plants and soil must exceed the amount emitted by the block by 2026, which is a really cool goal. Through
Yeah,
all
sure,
of this,
buddy.
the EU increased its emissions target from a 55% reduction to a 57% reduction compared with 1990 levels by 2030. A few days after that, Germany became the latest country to leave the Energy Charter Treaty. The treaty allows energy companies to sue other countries if they perceive a policy decision as a financial threat. While this treaty was originally used to safeguard energy companies entering the former Soviet Union countries after the Iron Curtain fell, it has since become a useful vessel.
Hold on, if this is a topic that's close to your heart, you didn't bother to look up what the relationship is, between what the U.S. did or didn't do? Shouldn't you know this answer then? Why are you asking me?
Fossil fuel companies to block decarbonization efforts. The EU hasn't been able to fully agree on ending the treaty, so several countries have taken the matter into their own hands, like Italy, Spain, the Netherlands, France, Slovenia, Poland, and now Germany. Germany is definitely the largest economy to do this, so it's a really big deal that they left. And I hope the trend continues. Over in Poland last weekend, hundreds of climate protesters took the streets in Lisbon, with dozens storming into the building of Portugal's economy minister to demand he resigns. He's a former oil exec. Police officers dragged peaceful protesters from the building as the minister fled through the back door. The activists chose last weekend to do this protest because it takes place in the beginning of COP27. While that was going on in Portugal, the University of Barcelona in Spain became the first university that we know of to implement a mandatory course on the climate crisis for all 14,000 undergraduate and graduate students starting in the fall of 2024. The course will combine ecological and social concepts of the crisis. To do this, it will devise a training program for its 6,000 academic staff. The university agreed to this after the student-led group End Fossil Barcelona held a 7-day sit-in on campus. 200 professors backed the students on this move. In the end, activists were given the opportunity to appoint 60% of the group of experts and academics that would create this new climate course. One of the experts that the group promoted sits on the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
Nice.
The course is also worth 5 credits. But now we gotta get to where the story gets less rosy, because this course was actually sort of a concession for protesters to stop their protesting without addressing their main demand, which was to get the university to stop accepting fossil fuel funding. Additionally, the idea of making this course actually came from Madrid's conservative community president, who is on the record for saying that the climate is always changing and claims that the talk of climate crisis is just being apocalyptic as part of a communist plot. So while she's not on the university's board, it will be interesting to see who the other 40% of the course creators will be and if her views will have any sway on this decision. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below, especially if you live in Spain. And that downsliding climate victory leads me into the climate fails. But first, we need a Rue break. Rue's been stressed out about the construction. I understand.
Oh, poor kitty.
Yeah. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the people? Here is a fun fact about Rue. Rue loves to play laser pointer. And that was the fun fact about Rue. And back to your regularly scheduled climate fails. A coalition
That's cute. Personally, I suspect these social media adversely like me more. Okay, how does this involve the U.S. government? Do you have like any proof? And if so, then you have your answer, dude. Jesus.
Environmental groups are calling on the Queensland government in Australia to end exemptions for coal projects near the Great Barrier Reef. At least 8 projects applied for permits without any environmental impact statements, and 6 were approved by the Environment Ministry despite this. At least 7 will still need federal approval, so groups like the Australian Conservation Foundation, BirdLife, and Queensland Conservation Council are trying to make noise to get the government to reject these projects due to lack of statements. An independent group of experts recently raised questions about the Environment Ministry's processes, despite the Environment Ministry insisting that their processes are robust, which is why those companies did not need those environmental statements. But clearly these projects are going to have a large environmental impact. One of the projects under fire is the Vulcan South project owned by Vitronite, which is expected to clear 1,000 hectares of koala habitat and at least 75 hectares of greater glider habitat. That's not even talking about the climate impact. Remember, the International Energy Agency has stated that we cannot afford to build any new fossil fuel projects at this point if we want to keep warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, unless these projects are stranded assets. What do you think of these projects being exempt from producing environmental impact
That's
statements?
bullshit. That's what I think.
Especially being right next to the Great Barrier Reef. Let me know.
I thought the Great Barrier Reef doesn't exist anymore. It does.
It's
just very
Meanwhile,
messed up.
Switzerland is reportedly paying poorer nations like Ghana and Dominica to reduce emissions on its behalf. Dominica is a small island nation, by the way. Switzerland has the goal of reducing emissions by half by 2030, but instead of doing the work itself, it's paying other countries to do it for them. Experts have pushed back on this method and are worried that other wealthy countries will want to follow Switzerland's lead, and they're right because Japan and Sweden are already showing interest in pursuing this method as well. I guess the one benefit is that Switzerland is helping these poorer countries pay for their transition to clean energy right? Well, according to Switzerland's methods, they actually can take credit for projects that would have gone on without their money unless more stringent qualification measures are put in place. So Switzerland has explicitly said that it will not meet its decarbonization targets without this scheme, which to me sounds like a them problem. To be fair, the reason why they are struggling to meet their target is because Switzerland has actually already mostly decarbonized its energy sector, so now it has to decarbonize the harder to decarbonize sectors, and that obviously is more challenging. Most countries have not even gone to that part yet. Other countries Switzerland is taking emissions reductions credit for is Peru, Senegal, Georgia, Vanuatu, Thailand, and Ukraine, with the country also in conversation with 3 more countries to be involved in this program. I think the only country that I can see that this making sense is Vanuatu, because the country is actually already carbon negative, so...
Yeah, that is true. There was severe bleaching. It got monumentally messed up, but I don't think it's 100% dead. Here. Here we go. This was just a couple of months ago. Oh, shoot. Hold on. There we go. Parts of Great Barrier Reef show highest coral cover seen in 36 years. Yeah, so it goes, you know, it's not completely dead. It has taken a lot of damage, and it remains incredibly sensitive, but it is still there. It is still there.
Oh, I guess the money could go towards more carbon offset programs.
This is done
You
just a
clearly
couple
already know
months
my
ago.
opinion on this. What do you think about Switzerland's method? Let me know in the comment section below. Now let's turn our attention to the US. A new carbon brief analysis determines that the US is $32 billion short of paying its share of the $100 billion a year to help poorer countries transition to clean energy. Because the US is responsible for about 40% of historical carbon emissions,
I would also like to point out once again, Elon Musk bought Twitter for more than this.
it should pay nearly $40 billion a year to make up for its environmental damage. But Congress has mainly blocked this effort. Last year, President Biden tried to get just $11.4 billion to add to the fund, but Congress only allowed $1 billion to go through. Thanks, Joe. Now that we know that Congress will be split, this will be very unlikely to improve anytime soon, unfortunately. And the US is also not the only country on this list that is not following through with its pledge. Canada is the next one that is definitely missing its target, but nowhere near the level that the US is missing the target. But also the US has to pay the most, but also we deserve it to pay the most because we're the largest historical emitter by a lot, as you can see from this graph. Anyways, let's finish off this episode with one more climate victory, just to bring up the mood a little bit. At the beginning of November, the Biden administration allocated $13 billion to go towards helping lower and middle income households lower their energy prices through subsidizing electrification and energy-saving retrofits. $4.5 billion comes from the existing low-income home energy assistance program, which is controlled by the Department of Health and Human Services. This money can directly subsidize home heating and cooling costs and help families weatherize and repair their homes. The rest of the money will come from the Inflation Reduction Act and must be administered through state and tribal leadership. This means it's up to your state leadership to decide whether or not to give you that money. Low-income households spend nearly 9% of their income on energy, which is roughly 3 times as much as other income brackets. They are also less likely to live in buildings that have been recently updated. And with the energy prices expected to continue being volatile during the winter because of Russia's invasion in Ukraine, this relief is very much needed. And that was your climate recap for the day. Remember to talk about the climate crisis every single day and to support your local news organization.
True.
Thank you so much to the people on Patreon who help support me.
Appreciate that. All right. Do the thing, folks. Like the video, subscribe, all that awesome stuff. Share it. Have you guys heard of molten salt battery technology? Yes. All right, we've got a cute animal video, and then I think that's it.
Huh. So if guy
in the corner of my eye, I see this little blob that's moving. How long have you been? Oh. Yeah, I didn't see her, but I figured the mom's probably looking for food. She's going to come back. She'd be worried if the babies are gone. But then they both started sneezing.
Oh, don't step in it.
The eyes were crusty, and I was worried. And I was like, I don't know about cats, but I'm 90% sure that's not normal. And so I took them to my vet.
Poor things.
Turns out they had infections. And so my vet was basically telling us like, oh, you're doing a great thing by taking them in, but I just want to let you know that it's kind of severe, the infections they have.
All right, here's cat 1 after the meds.
Super cute kitties. True.
Looking all right. Cat 2 after some cleaning. Eyes are open, so I think medicine is a go.
So every night I was cleaning their eyes, giving them their antibiotics, and just making sure that their eyes were clear of the gunk that they had.
You're stepping on me. Where are you trying to go?
After about a week of antibiotics, and I just watched their energy lift, and so I think that's when I knew they were both going to pull through.
Who are you
No.
fighting?
My plan originally was to take in the cats, get them to 100%, and then give them back to the mom. She just never showed up again. And so I figured, okay, I'm their mom now, I guess.
Look at your face. Where are you guys going?
I live stream on Twitch 3 times a week playing games and just hanging out with my amazing community. When they were young, I needed to feed them within those hours, and so I would just do that on stream, and everyone loved it.
Oh, and,
You're such a
and
message.
she's a Twitch streamer?
He's so cute right now, just look at him.
Wait, who is this Twitch streamer?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, look at the cat cam on the bottom.
And you can see her right now. She's got like little zoomies.
I just figured they're going to be very involved in my life, so I'd want to share them with the community as well. They specifically know when I'm in the middle of a game, and
Yeah.
so they'll choose that moment to come onto my desk.
Oh,
Every time I lose a game, I just blame it on them. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, I have 2 cats on my desk. What can I do?
damn.
Looking back at it now, it was a lot of work of just like constantly feeding them.
They didn't
making sure
even
that they
put the
were
link to her
still
channel.
breathing. But it didn't feel like much work to me. Like I woke up excited to see them.
Yeah. Oh, do you hear her purring?
Either way, that's adorable. Classic cat move. True. True. I think every cat does that. What, wait for the right opportunity while you're playing video games to jump on your desk? Yeah, my cat does that when I'm working. My cat does that when I'm working. All right, folks. It is just about past 7. I gotta get going. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. You get 5 free emotes. And if you have a second and want to support this channel even further, go into even further beyond, go to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, spread the word far and wide. We are here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Except maybe this Thursday for Thanksgiving. Maybe we'll see what happens there. Join the Discord if you want to keep up with that. Bye-bye, ADT. Thank you so much, Johnny Depo, for stopping by. Appreciate that. I'm sorry. I meant the Discord. There we go. Yeah, okay. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time. See ya. All right, folks, hang tight. Hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.